I'm John Mercure. Welcome to our conversation with the superintendent of the Menomonee Falls School District. He is Corey Gala. How you doing, Corey?
I'm doing well, thanks, John.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
How's the district doing? I know it continues to be a challenge with COVID, and there's the new variant out there, and I've been impressed with how the district has handled things. How's the district doing?
We're doing well. You know, we're in a bit of a shift right now as we come out of the holidays. We're going to move away from mandated quarantines for close contacts in school, and that's just a result of, you know, all students now have access to the vaccine if that's their family's choice. So we're going to just shift now where it'll be, you know, family's responsibility, and you know, we'll encourage them to work with their healthcare providers to make the best decisions for their family.
I always want to ask you about your staff, because the teachers, the educators, the support staff, the other people in the buildings, they're such an integral part to what happens to a kid's education, obviously. How's your staff doing? It's not easy. Think about what they've been through the last year and a half. It's rather remarkable.
Yeah, you know, we've all been through this together, and they've been through the same things, you know, just outside of their work in schools, as they've all had their personal impacts, their personal losses, family members and spouses, you know, having employment issues, things like that. So they have the same stress as the rest of the country, the rest of the world does, and then on top of that, school's been difficult. So we worry about them. They're resilient. We have a strong culture of mutual support among all of our teams and all of our buildings and here at district office, but we don't take them for granted either. This has been a hard year for everyone, and we know that some of them are struggling as well.
Speaking about the teams in the buildings, in the headlines, unfortunately, lately, the TikTok challenge that seemed to encourage violence against school districts. One local district decided to shut their doors. How does a district decide, Corey, when a threat is credible, how to behave, how to respond, and how close is the relationship with local law enforcement in making those decisions?
Yeah, I think that credibility is a key piece, and we take every threat seriously, every rumor of threat seriously. We've been trained to assess the credibility of those threats, but like you said, we work extremely closely with our school resource officers. We've got police officers essentially stationed at every level. So we've got Officer Holtz at the high school, Officer Gabinski at the middle school, and then Officer Weber circulates through the elementary schools and runs that DARE program. That partnership is critical to helping us understand the credibility of these threats. I can call our Chief of Police, Mark Waters, at any time, and I did last week, to let him know this is what we're hearing. This is our assessment of things, and he can share his. And then to give people a peace of mind, he instantly says, you know, we'll make sure we have additional officers at those buildings coming, you know, working in the area. So that partnership is critical for our communities right now, and we're very fortunate in Menomonee Falls to have that.
This latest incident that happened in mid-December, were there more absences than normal? Was the district impacted?
We did. We had about 20% of our students were absent that day. Now, on a typical day, even absent COVID, we might have 5% of our students out ill, and then we've certainly been dealing with some COVID issues, flu as well. But that was high for us, and we know, just seeing the comments that parents were making or submitting, you know, that there was some concern that they were, you know, that they were just probably thinking, what if? And that's unfortunate that we live in that world where, you know, parents have to think that way. We know Officer Holtz at the high school said he spoke to students at the high school who just were asking him questions and were concerned. And, you know, that's sad that kids have to be thinking like that at school.
You know, it is. And when you and I were in school, and I was there a little longer ago than you were, there were bomb threats occasionally. There were people who phoned in or said or did stupid things. But now with social media, it's at a different level, and you're forced to think about things in quicker time and in a different way as a district.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning, actually. Like, we've always had those things. It's with social media, it's magnified. Those things spread very rapidly. They create a lot of concern. And there's just more investigation you need to do because of that volume to understand the credibility of those threats. And it's always on our mind. You know, we say you're never ready, but you're prepared, and we've done a lot to prepare, a lot to be proactive and prevent these things. Our facilities, we've invested a lot in safety, and we do a lot of training in those crisis plans. But yeah, every time you see it, what we saw in Michigan, what we had to think about last week, it's always concerning.
Another potential disruption this time of year is weather and snow. How does the district decide whether there will be a weather day or not?
Yeah, we've got a strong county partnership, which is interesting. Actually, what developed for COVID was just an offshoot of what we've always had for weather. So we typically, as superintendents, we are talking early in the morning. Often we'll have a phone call at 5 in the morning.
Wow, that's early.
We have access. Keith Brightman, our Director of Finance and Operations, is talking to the bus company. They're often out checking the roads. We have a good relationship with our village. They'll give us a report, and that's how we'll make that decision on whether or not we should have students in school.
So do districts sometimes act unilaterally? I mean, you might talk to Elmbrook or Germantown or other districts, but at the end of the day, do you act in unison?
We try to act in unison. Sometimes circumstances will happen. Sometimes it's a big county. It covers a lot of ground, so where the snow hits might be different. Some counties might have more rural areas. They've got wider, and then you might make a decision collectively, and then in that last minute, somebody goes rogue. So we try to stay as tight as we can, but we all have to make the same decision. We're in a unique challenge is we're on a county line, so
yep.
We'll try to work with Waukesha County, but that doesn't necessarily mean Germantown's going to do the same thing. So we do our best to communicate. It's helpful for families since they might have kids here but work in another community or teach in another community or whatever. So it's complicated.
So one of the silver linings of COVID was that the district learned that, man, we can operate remote and can make this happen and have good quality education while doing it remote. When it comes to weather, would that be an option? Do you think we'll still have conventional school weather days where there's no class, or could you flip on a dime and do something remote?
We've made the decision here in Menominee Falls that we would still have a snow day. So if we got a snowstorm, I never wanted to be that superintendent that ended that tradition of getting the call in the morning. But it's also there is some hardships to flipping to remote. I mean, our teachers still have students, they have their own child care issues. Yep. We also at the elementary level don't necessarily send the computers home with kids all the time. I would expect now, as we see weather come in, we'll start, then we can make that decision. Let's make sure we're sending all the books and the machines home with kids in their backpacks. And we can shift. If we remember a couple of years ago, we had cold days that extended several days. Yep. We would absolutely go to a virtual environment in those circumstances.
But one quick hitting snowstorm, it's probably going to be how it's traditionally been.
Yeah, I think in that first one, and then if we start having a couple stack up, then we would start making more choices to go virtual.
I noticed at the high school, the astronomy club is in its second year, and why are we talking about the astronomy club? Well, it's growing, it's doing great, and clubs in general, Corey, how important is it that students have the option to get involved in things that interest them or maybe they've never tried before?
It's extremely important. I mean, one, just that sense of belonging. Kids will do well in school when they have a deep sense of belonging, so we want to have activities, clubs, just where they're able to connect with other students and teachers or employees around a passion area. And sometimes those passion areas become a pathway for them, so they can explore something that they might want to consider, professionally or in college or after school. So those things are very important on the educational end for those career pathways and also on that social side of things. And I love the fact that we have things just pop up, like suddenly there's an interest in astronomy, or you have a teacher who has a passion they want to share with students, and they'll start those things. And that might be a strong club for a while, and 3 years from now it may be gone and there'll be some new things in its place.
In the COVID world that we live in, are most clubs and activities back, at least in some form?
Yeah, I would say nearly everything is back in a live face-to-face environment, unless the students or teachers are making a choice to meet virtually, which sometimes it's just more convenient that they do that. They can connect through so many ways now, but we're at this point, all of our students are in. All of those clubs and activities are face-to-face, and they're doing quite well. As
a district, what's on your Christmas list? What would you like for Christmas as a district or as an administrator? What would make you really happy?
I would say a sense of calm. Kids do well when there's calm, when there's consistency, when we can have our routines. That's when they really thrive. and we need that. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for.
That's a
As
great
a professional answer. If you're saying I really want a bamboo fly rod, that's on my Christmas list too. But
You can send that to the district office.
Jody will have to take care of that one.
He is Menominee Falls Superintendent Corey Gala. Thanks for the chat, Corey.
Thanks a lot, John.